Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. I'm Jen Snow. I'm your spiritual coach, Reiki master, energy healer, medium, and clinical hypnotherapist, bringing it all together and blending it to help you guys move through the blocks and the spiritual, physical, mental, emotional belief systems blocks and everything that we have accumulated over time so that we're no longer held back and we can begin to achieve that inner peace and contentment and satisfaction and joy and all the good stuff. So today's show is about saying goodbye to 2023. And for those of you who have been on this journey with me since the beginning, may have noticed that I went quiet over December. Somewhat intentional, somewhat unintentional. So first off, I want to say hello to everybody. Alex, Tana, thank you for being here. I have missed all of you greatly. I just needed a moment, a pause that I had actually planned to talk about in the middle of December. I know in the last show we kind of alluded it. Hello, Diane. To that there would be some big changes coming and that I was working through those changes to discover the next step of all of this, everything. And I'm pretty excited about this, but I do want to explain why the second half of December I didn't actually, prepare us to jump into 2024. It was somebody, an immediate family member of mine became very ill and very sick, and I was actually in the hospital with them and had to step back and take some time away and just make sure that I could be there for them. So that is why the extended silence on all of my social media platforms. However, over the next couple of weeks, that is going to be changing. And I want to talk about 2023. For most of you, we have been going through our own personal self-evolution, ascension, soul awakening, discovering pieces and parts of ourselves that have been embedded, but like pushed down. And a lot of us over these coming years have really felt this peace coming forward, a piece of us that is pushing us, that is driving us to acknowledge who we are, who are true, authentic, the being inside of us that is clawing to get out, but has been buried through so many different interdimensional baggage. We're going to call it baggage because it's a lot of things. It's a lot of emotions, a lot of mental belief systems, mindsets, ideas, ideologies, whether it is our personal, generational, or celestial. We are working through it. And the last, November, we did talk about this where we were coming to this time of completion, where we are completing cycles that as we move forward into this next several decades, those cycles and patterns completed will no longer be integrated into our everyday, and how it's slowly unwinding in the everyday consciousness. But we unwind this at the subconscious. We unwind this at the celestial side of us, the angelic, the light being, and we're doing this in multiple facets and multiple dimensions and multiple layers, and it's exhausting. And sometimes we need to step back. Sometimes we have to lean in, and learning to know our own foundation is such an important impact. Now, I want to talk about 2023 because 2023 was a year of introspection, really getting into that, figuring out what was in our way, what was blocking us, what was standing, creating the knapsack, as I always call it, of stuff that we carry into our everyday, life the burdens that we hold for ourselves, for our family members, for this universe, for the earth, all of it, and really starting to clear out that knapsack that is holding us down, that is keeping us in the sludge, the trenches of lack, scarcity, turmoil, the duality of emotion, being stuck in that, I don't want to call it negative emotion, but that heavy emotion, that thick energy, that third dimension of space. And so I've been really pushing, guys, come up with your patterns. What are your patterns? What's holding you back? Peel back the onion. And we've been pushing. 2023 was all about pushing. Come on. We can do this. did not make it fun, did not make it easy, did not make it enjoyable at times. There were times when it really, like, I don't know about you guys, but it felt like flatlining all the time. Like there was this constant flatline that was happening, and that it was always interrupting that flow, because once you unraveled one thing, it was like within days and the next thing would pop up and be like, hello, I was underneath of that. So let's go, let's jump into this. And sometimes we had to step back. Sometimes we had to go, okay, I need a beat, I need to pause. And there's nothing wrong with that, because for my understanding of the universe, it is that, action is not measured the way we measure action. It is just being in action keeps you in that rolling stone gathers no moth flow. And so over the last several months, it's just about been completion. So when you're stuck there, 2023 was about unraveling those cycles, becoming aware of those cycles, seeing and feeling where they sit in you, how they self-sabotage us, how we self-sabotage ourselves, how those limited belief systems, are anchored in so deeply that it affects us physically, mentally, emotionally, and energetically, and how we have to peel back each layer as if they're their own identity. And that's the thing, I think, for me, when I began my own journey in 2016, because I was, going through what I started in 2010, I didn't realize that there were 4 pillars to this evolution of self-evolution, and working through each pillar was going to take its own amount of time. And, I always laugh because it comes back is how long is a piece of string? My grandfather used to say that to me all the time when I would ask him about something, and he would always give me that advice. And I hated that advice. I wanted to know. And I realized that sometimes we don't get to see the end, on this date, you're complete, because it's a constant self-evolution. We're constantly unwinding our interdimensional connections that eventually we will get there. When? Well, your soul knows. Your soul has a plan. It has a path. It has an adventure, and it has things to work through on all 4 pillars of working through it. And so if you got through 2023 and you're like, oh my God, are we there yet? But it feels heavy, because that was what it was about. 2023 was about that heaviness of, so that we could no longer ignore it. And for some of you who have been doing the work for decades, it feels like it's a never ending process, but it is a process. And so when I was thinking about 2023, honestly, it wasn't a fun year. Not gonna lie. I was like, oh my God, thank God we're done. But I realized that mindset, that like, thank God we're done, was actually something that was going to hold us back from moving forward. Because even though there were some horrendous parts of 2023 where I myself felt like, what's the point? It's just another thing after another thing. Realized that 2023 was a really great option. And I love this saying, and I've been saying it for years, is what not to wear and what to wear. And a lot of our adventure in 2023 was showing us what we didn't want to wear anymore, and how we wanted to shift, and how that shift was going to look for us personally, because the ripple effect happens. The more we do what we do, the ripple effect moves through the collective consciousness. And that collectiveness is what creates the bigger outcome. But we have to start here. We got to start getting back to home. We got to come into home, and we got to be willing to look at home inside of ourselves and look what's working for us and maybe what's not. And even when you look at it, you don't have to choose right away to, dive into it. If you need a moment, okay, I see you, I acknowledge you, and I just need a moment to process you, to figure out which way I'm going to work through this. That's okay. We often need time to figure out what our plan is. I even do that when it comes to when I acknowledge something that's going on in me. We've gone through this journey together. There has been live hypno sessions, soul regression sessions, where we've gone back and I've walked you through my process. That doesn't mean that process didn't take me a little bit of time to just choose what formula I was going to utilize. Yes, I'm partial to regression work because I've seen the power of it in my own journey, and it's what I do for a living. But there are different ways to work through stuff, and whether you do it with somebody, without somebody, it is the fact that you're in action and continuing to allow yourself to stay in that action that is going to help your motion forward. You may feel like you slip backwards, but those backward slips are just tying up loose ends. And that's what the other thing when I started to reflect on 2023, is that we are tying up loose ends, but that doesn't mean tying up those loose ends is fun. It's not always fun. I don't always enjoy it. But if you are in a place where you're starting to discover there's still some fringe cords there, what do you need to tie up those loose ends? What do you need? What process, what system are you going to utilize to help you let go of those loose ends, to complete the mindset, letting go, complete the unwinding of your past and present events holding you in who you once were versus who you are now. And it's about coming back to the now. And we often get stuck on where we want to be in the future and where we were yesterday. And those are the two focus points. So coming into 2024, because we are in this space of completion, especially from like November to March, like this is a gap that we are in this energy of completion. And that doesn't mean you don't have time. You got lots of time, but you got to stay in action. And that's the message from my guides constantly is to share right now is how to stay in action and what topics are you ready to move into for your own personal completion. Whether it's ancestral, generational, personal, celestial, physical, mental, emotional, vibration. Where do you want to complete? Where do you feel drawn to focus on? And sometimes it is taking back that, what is your system for self-awareness? What system are you using for self-awareness? We talk about the different opportunities of meditation, hypnosis, there's walking, there's movement, there's a million breath work, there's qigong, like even working out, driving. Sometimes our system is that. What is your system, and how are you going to utilize the things that you feel most drawn to, the things that really inspire you, the things that motivate you, and how are you going to integrate them into your routine and your daily system and make it a part of you? Instead of looking for energy, let's do work on those abilities that we have. Habit stacking. We've talked about this before on the show about habit stacking, putting it in between two already everyday things that you do, i.e. brushing your teeth, and for me, having my cup of coffee. So I know I'm going to brush my teeth every day. Well, I know that I'm going to have my cup of coffee. I love my cup of coffee. And I know that there's a gap time for brewing my coffee. So I put in my workout in between my brushing my teeth, after I brush my teeth, and before I have my cup of coffee. That way I'm not making time, because that time's already there in my mind. So shifting your mindset, the first thing is, what blocks do you have around your system that is going to enable you to create your foundation? And unwinding that, completing those blocks and barriers, those self-sabotaging habits and cycles and patterns. Even maybe just a simple mindset change, that instead of looking for time, I have time. And reminding yourself that you're not looking to create more time in a day. You already have the time in the day. You just got to see where you want to fit it in. What resonates with you? What inspires you? It's, for instance, somebody asked me about my, what I'm creating and what is my creative time. My creative time is not in the morning right away. That's my personal time where I do what I got to do. But my creative time starts about, from 9 a.m. to, this block into the evening. And so I know that if I'm trying to be creative at 7 a.m. in the morning, it's not going to work, because my focus is on my sitting down, having my cup of coffee, and just my meditation, my workout, making sure the dogs are taken care of, the horses, all of that happens early in the morning. And I used to try and get up and hammer out new courses and blah, 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 finish my very well written list that is still there. But I realized that's not my inspired time. So finding your inspired time and then utilizing that time when you have the opportunity. Now, I know we all have work, we all have lives, we all have everything. So maybe it's not a daily thing where you get inspired time for yourself. Maybe it's a weekly thing, or a couple days a week, or just finding what works for you that doesn't cause you stress. Because as we go through this time of completion, if we don't take the time to understand what causes us stress, because that demotivates us, all of us. Because if it's stressful, we're not doing it. We're just not going to play. We'll have great intentions. Our New Year's resolutions are wonderful. Yet if it adds stress to our day, those patterns and cycles will fizzle out quite quickly. And then it's like setting yourself up for failure without even trying to set yourself up for failure. It's just setting yourself up to fail. When we think about when we have, we set these resolutions, and if we haven't come up with our system to make our resolution a part of our everyday, so it's not an add-on, but it's a process that it's not an add-on. It is just part of our day. We will set ourselves up for failure. And the biggest thing is we come into January 1st, we're all like gung-ho. Yeah, we're doing this. We got this. Anybody have noticed week 3 of January, things start to fizzle out? Sometimes it's that first week of February because the overload, it becomes overwhelming. It becomes stressful. It becomes something we have to do, not something we choose to do. And so we start to lose our footing. Sometimes people make it longer. Absolutely. So I would say to you guys, what about making January your system building month, where you begin to build your system so that your system is in place. And then whatever resolution intention that you had for your next 2024, that system has already got you there. You got a process. We're in the process. The outcome, they're going to come. The end result is going to be there. It's about honing in on your process and what your process looks like, what your system that works for you. We're all individuals, so finding your system is super, super important, and allowing your system to be your roadmap. Now, that doesn't mean you won't tweak your system. That doesn't mean you won't adjust your system, because as you evolve, everything evolves. And the other part of the ending of 23 is that what worked for 2023 isn't going to work now. As we tie off these loose ends, as we complete these patterns, as we engage in different ways, that what was working for us for the last decade is not going to work this time. It's going to need to change, because you are a different being. You are a different vibrational frequency. You are emanating a different vibration, energy, and frequency, which that energy doesn't align with what once was, what we used to wear. But now it's figuring out what you want to wear and what that looks like now for the person you became, because we are not the same person we were yesterday. And, we need to take into account as we begin to make these systems and these foundations that are going to help carry us forward, is how do we evolve those systems and foundations to match the energy, the vibration, the being that we are now. Because you guys have been working hard. We've all been working hard to get to this point where the duality control, the negative feelings, emotions, heaviness, energies, the density is no longer. But that also means when we release density, we have to evolve the system. And so spending some time and focusing on your system and getting that in place, and then allowing your resolutions, your intentions to really come together as they guide you forward, and knowing that they may twist, they may turn, but it's your foundation that'll keep you walking and moving forward, even if you take a couple steps back. Even if you journey, you're like, oh, I fell off the wagon. Well, if your system's in place, you reiterate, jumpstart, take a moment to look at the system. Where did the kink come from? What caused the kink? And what do I need to do to resolve that so the kink is no longer a part of my foundation? Because everything is an evolution. Moving towards your resolutions, your intentions, that's evolution. And when we take that step back and look at it going, okay, for me, my evolution was I was stuck in a space where I was doing the same thing over and over again, and the definition of insanity, right? When it came to the show and everything I was doing, for me, it got stuck. I got stuck. And I didn't realize that I was stuck because I was just trying to plow through. And that's where the step back really showed me that I have changed. So the content that I'm going to share with you has changed. And there was a lot of healing that I had to go into and do personally, both on camera, off camera, to be able to get to this point where sharing my mediumship and the knowledge and the wisdom that I have channeled openly without fear of, the fear of the negative coming after me. It was a big step. So that is one of the changes that I've made that I didn't realize. I was trying to make that change at the end of 2023, but I hadn't realized that there was still stuff in the way, some baggage that, you guys actually got to come on with journey with me on that. Resolving that has created this change for me. And so the show and the content and everything else has to change, but I didn't realize that I hadn't actually changed the vibration of the content and the information and the share that I was giving. So that's going to be changing. And I'm going to do this my way. And I know there's an algorithm. I know there's a bunch of stuff out there that you got to follow. Yeah. Well, I also realized that was causing a lot of stress trying to get it done like everybody else. And I realized that I can't do it like everybody else. So that was one of my biggest realizations with my reflection time, looking back at, hey, Kate, looking back at where the ending of 2023 was really driving, what it was driving home for me that I was in some ways halfway through the year ignoring. So the other thing is, because I'm traveling for work a lot right now, I'm going to scale back the shows. We're only going to do 2 a month right now. If I can add another one in, I'm going to, but my commitment is going to be doing 2 shows a month where we talk about everything, and the medium in me is going to step forward and really take space, because it's time, and I'm going to share my insight and my knowledge and my sense of what's next and how to overcome it, how to work through it, what blocks are going to be coming. And there are going to be workshops designed around that, because I think that as we move forward as individuals and as a collective as a whole, we can unwind this, so that as we move into the March and beyond in 2024, we can really access that infinity year, that 8 year, which is abundance, which is abundance vibrationally. And now, however you choose to channel that abundance energetically, vibrationally, and then the frequency side of things will be determined by you and how you draw that to you. But it's discovering what's in your way, what's in the knapsack that keeps preventing that next step, that switch from being on the lower end of the 8, where it is the lack, scarcity, and the not having, versus the upper side of the 8, which is getting into that infinite year of energy, vibration, and connection, which allows you to manifest, allows you to create, and really tapping into your space of creation. And I haven't talked about this space a lot, because it's a touchy topic, because for everybody it's individual. What you focus to create and bring to you, what you focus to unwind in the life force energy and attach and connect to your everyday reality, is going to be personal. So you have to think about those things. And where on that infinity sign are you sitting? Are you sitting in the duality sign part of it, where it's heavy and it's dense? Or are you on the upper side of it, where you're free and open to explore and connect with your soul energy and bring and download that into your everyday and become comfortable sharing that? Because there's the other side of this. A lot of us light beings that have come to Earth have been in this, in this physical body that has been restricted, and we have to unrestrict it so that our physical body can host and harness the soul energy that we have the capacity to integrate. See, we've always been taught that we're limited. This physical body is limited. I did a regression in December, which I'm going to talk about another show, because that's a really big topic. But there's been times on Earth where this physical body was not limited, and it was able to harness our full soul capacity and be in a physical body and have the access beyond what we could imagine in this world. And I want to share that with you, but we're going to do that at another show, because, like I said, it's probably more than an hour, and we just wanted to give you an idea of where I've been at, where my head's been at in the last, coming to the end of 2023, where we're going in 2024, because 2024, there's going to be some heaviness, not going to lie, but there's also going to be a lot of lightness if we choose not to be confounded and confined by the heaviness, because the heaviness is just an opportunity to learn what not to wear, and an opportunity to learn what we want to wear, what we want to create, how we want to unravel our own personal self-evolution and what that looks like. So I'm going to tell you guys congratulations, because we made it this far. Those of us who made it through 2023, that, we did it. We're here. But that doesn't mean that we got to stay in action, guys. And your action is going to be individual. Maybe it's reading that book. Maybe it's taking time to meditate. Maybe it's going for that walk. Maybe it's taking that course. But listening to our inner selves and letting our inner being speak and guide us, and removing the barriers that have locked us down in this space, so that we can move forward more freely and get to the other side, so we can look back and go, that was a year of lessons, a year of understanding, a year of wisdom, a year of knowledge and knowingness. And now that I have all of that, I can choose how I want to move forward, what I need to tweak, what I need to change, what I, really, really liked, what I'm going to focus on, where I'm going to pour my energy into, and what I'm going to give myself permission to release and let go, because there's a lot of cords everywhere, and cutting those cords. We're going to talk about that again. We're going to talk about your systems and how to apply those systems as we go throughout the year. And we're going to do it all. So welcome to 2024, guys. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your subscriptions on all of the platforms, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. I didn't get Instagram going, I don't think. Oh, maybe I did. I don't know. I hit the go live button, but I don't actually know if I went live. If I did, total first time ever. But I appreciate you. But I'm also going to bring in the animal side, because there is a bridge that needs to be got with our animals. And I realize that I've been trying forever to divide that, the spiritual coach here and then the animal communicator here, and I can't be divided anymore. So like I said, I'm breaking the mold. I know that they tell you to, have all these different facets because that's how you make it in the world. Well, you know what? No. So you guys are going to get a little bit of everything here. You're going to get the animal side of me, because that is more important than anything, because it does help us move forward on the, personal journey, because animals have a great wisdom that they can share with us and a great understanding, and they all have purpose with us, and they all journey with us personally and individually because they chose us. And I want to talk about how we can expand that connection, that communication, that bond, so that we understand why they chose us, why they've chosen to be a part of our journey, when they've come into our journey, and so much more. So like I said, we're gonna bring this space to a full space, a whole space. And I'm really excited to share that with you guys, because it's something that I have personally held back on, and I've realized that just doesn't work for me. And this is one of my biggest realizations over 2023, is that this has to be whole. And that's the goal, is creating space, systems, foundations, communication, connections to be more and more whole in every way and every day. So thank you for your time, for your energy. I will be setting up the shows and putting out a newsletter. That's the other thing. I've never done this before, but I'm going to start creating newsletters. How I share them, I'm going to do my best, because, well, I'm technically inclined, but I am learning. And so I look forward to sharing those with you. Yes, they are. They are pure, and they deserve to be heard. They deserve to feel our connection, because when that connection opens, it is something spectacular and life-changing altogether, whether you have animals in your personal life or you just encounter animals in your, outside of your personal life. Either or, they all have something to share with you. And that will be interesting. Yeah, they all have something, whether, like I said, just like people, we have seasons, we have people that come into our life for a day, a moment, a second, sometimes for a lifetime, sometimes for just a season. The same thing is with animals. Sometimes they cross our paths because they have something to tell you. And if we can open up that part of our soul, we can listen and hear, whether it be a long-term companion or a short-term encounter. Either way, we can gain from that insight and share that communication as well, because there is profound insight in every animal that crosses your path. And I know that they've been beating their heads on the wall trying to communicate with us, and vice versa, because there's a lot of us who want to communicate with them but don't believe that we can. I'm here to tell you, you can. And I truly have known this my entire life, is that everybody has the ability to connect both into self, source, and soul, but also into the animal and plant communication and connection along with Gaia. There's so much more there. And it is really just unpacking the belief systems and the barriers that you put in place and resolving that, what is your wall of beliefs that you can. And as you remove that, the information and understanding how you communicate, how animals communicate with you, is another big step. Once you have those layers, it's not hard. I promise you this, and you will learn it. And it will be like, oh my God, it's been happening the entire time. And we just didn't know how to acknowledge it. So that will be also a part of this next journey on this channel, on all my social medias, and with workshops and everything else individually, both group and one-on-one. But it's time to break the barrier, build a bridge, so that we are no longer feeling isolated or alone in our own personal, collective, and personal journeys, but as a universal connection. and expanding on that, because everything has life force. And as we tap into that life force, we grow both externally and internally, and we become a little more whole, a little more complete, and a little more at ease in one. So there's the goal for 2024, to continue rolling this forward, and I look forward to sharing it with you. So thank you guys. Much love for being here. Much love for your support. If you like the content today, go ahead and smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, so that you are alerted when we are live, when the information is coming out, because it's just time to put it out there. And if it resonates with you, perfect. If it resonates with you in 5 years, perfect, because it will be different for everybody. We're going to get there at our own pace, and that's okay. Everybody gets there at their own pace, and it's a beautiful journey, adventure. And if that's the last thing I can, leave you with as we say goodbye to 2023, as we move forward, giving yourself the opportunity to shift your mindset as life is an adventure, and that adventure is folding before me. It doesn't mean every adventure is like what we consider like roses and sunshines and unicorns, but it is an adventure. And it is an adventure in teaching us what not to wear, what we choose not to wear, and what we choose to wear, and what to wear. So let's have some fun while we do this, and let's keep unwinding and creating that space and the systems and the foundation for self-evolution, because you got this. All right. See you guys soon. Looking forward to the next show, and we will talk very soon.